Hey everyone, it's Ethan or Mist back again for another video today, and welcome back to the channel, guys. We're here again for yet another video. Going to be talking about every movie and show I watched last week. Don't think I watched any shows last week, so just movies. And yeah, I had a decent week. I had one major theme for the week, which was Christopher Nolan. So yeah, I mean, let's get into it. Let's start it off with my least favorite watch of the week, which is also my last watch of the week, which is also now my least favorite movie of the year, which is Minions and Monsters. I can understand people enjoying them. Genuinely, I can. And I can understand people having fun with them. And sure, this is the type of movie that you just sit back and laugh at. But I just do not have any enjoyment watching any of these movies. I don't mind the Despicable Me movies, but this specifically the Minion movies I really, really struggle with. So, yeah, did not have a good time with it. I was literally dying watching it in theaters tonight while Mel was cackling, laughing at every joke. It was rough. It was definitely not my favorite place to be. Anyways, let's get on with it. Let's move on to the next one. My or sorry, the next movie is Psycho Killer, which I ranked a 43 out of 100. Another 2026 release, kind of towards the bottom of the list. Definitely not high by any means, unfortunately. It's not great. I think it has some interesting moments, but ultimately this is not a great movie. Although I do believe the like 1.9 average on Letterbox is a little too low. I don't think it's that bad by any means. And for I'd say most of the movie, it had my interest peaked, but it just never really panned out to anything. I guess it was totally okay. Ranked it, like I said, a 43 out of 100. Now let's move on to Tarantella, a Christopher Nolan short film, his first short film, which is hard to find, to say the least. I was able to find it on Reddit. Shout out Reddit. I was hoping to be able to find his other two short films, Quay and Larceny, but I haven't been able to find them, so I don't have them ranked, unfortunately, which leads me to only those two movies that I have not watched, directed by Christopher Nolan. So anyways, Tarantella, it's very early, like indie horror short film. It's very David Lynchian, I find. And I think it's kind of an inspo to a lot of work that Nolan has used in his future projects. There's lots of horror elements throughout, specifically Batman Begins, but the entire Dark Knight trilogy. There's horror moments in Oppenheimer, and you can honestly call that like a character study horror. There's, of course, character or horror moments throughout the Odyssey as well, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. But yeah, definitely can see where that inspiration comes from. I just really hope I get to see a full fledged Christopher Nolan horror movie at some point. But he said it recently, I believe. He's not going to do it unless there's something there, unless it's like an actual substance, an actual like story that he wants to tell and that should be told. So yeah. Anyways, let's move on to Scanners, which I ranked a 62 out of 100, which I believe is the last of my David Cronenberg goal. The only other one I need to watch is actually a rewatch, which is Videodrome, and I'll probably do that maybe this week. But yeah, Scanners. As far as Cronenberg's movies goes, I quite enjoyed this actually, which I've been struggling to find any sort of enjoyment through most of Cronenberg's films. A lot of them I have not enjoyed, to say the least. So found some enjoyment in this one. There was some interesting moments and quite a unique story as well. I felt so. 62 out of 100. It's decent. Let's move on to a little short film, Interstellar Nolan's Odyssey, which I ranked a 70 out of 100. A good little short film, short special, not a short film. It's really a short special, kind of going through some interviews and kind of a little bit of the making of Interstellar and comparing it to Christopher Nolan's, or well, I guess to Homer's Odyssey, which is pretty good for the time, obviously, and yeah, I do feel that way. I think Interstellar really is. Nolan's like biggest piece of work. I mean, obviously, the Odyssey now that might differ, but we'll talk about that more lately or later. So let's get into pretty much the rest of this list is Christopher Nolan. So let's start it off with his feature film directorial debut, which is Following, which I ranked a 76 out of 100. I enjoy this movie. I think it's interesting. I really like the concept of it as well, and originally rated it a 78, then a 77, now down to a 76. So I think it's good. Definitely not my favorite Nolan, but it is my least favorite Nolan. And although it's not, like, although I said like it's not great, but it has its moments, and I know I enjoy this more than most people. I think it seems like at least, but for a 76 out of 100 to be my least favorite from a director that's made 13 films is pretty damn good. Let's move on to Memento, which is my second least favorite in his filmography. And hands in the air, I just flat out don't understand Memento, but I enjoy it, and there's moments in it that I think are really interesting. I just find the way that the story is told more confusing for me. So I'm gonna have to keep rewatching it until I understand it, because ultimately it just is hard for me to understand, and that's what's holding me back from really loving this movie. Because I do enjoy it, but there's so much that I'm just confused about. That's just the case. That's just true. So let's move on to The Fire Rises, the creation and impact of the Dark Knight trilogy, which is a really fun look at the impact, the legacy, the creation, the sets, the casting, the directing, basically all the behind the scenes you could want from the Dark Knight trilogy, from Batman Begins to the Dark Knight to the Dark Knight Rises, which I think is really cool. There's a lot of fun moments, and I learned a lot about this. There's a lot of practical effects and practical stunts that I had no idea was happening, like making miniature sets in a miniature Batmobile to do the Dark Knight like tunnel chase sequence, which was really cool to learn. And yeah, I mean, there's just a lot to go throughout this entire trilogy. It's very interesting, and especially with rewatching that trilogy last week, I think this trilogy is severely underrated from start to finish. A lot of people love Batman Begins, and obviously, a lot of people love The Dark Knight. A lot of people don't like The Dark Knight Rises. I personally love The Dark Knight Rises. It's always been my second favorite of the trilogy, but I now have this trilogy at a 4.5 star and then 2 5 stars. So yeah, I really like this. I really like this trilogy. And as far as movies go, it is one of the best trilogies, but you can look at this through another lens and honestly just say it's a thriller. It's an action thriller. They are, and that's what I really love about them. They may be comic book films, but they're really masked as action thrillers, and I really enjoy that. So let's move on to the big one, the news of all newses right now, which is the Odyssey, which I ranked an 87 out of 100, which is a 4 star. And again, hands in the air. A lot of people may not agree with this rating and may think that it should be higher, and maybe one day it will be higher. I'm gonna rewatch this without a doubt in my mind, at least probably two more times in theaters if I had to guess. One for sure, but I really did enjoy this movie. There wasn't a single portion of this movie that I'm like, wow, this sucks, or like, wow, it's bad. I did enjoy this movie a lot, and I find myself seeing so many behind the scenes of how this was created, the practicalness to it, the score that Ludwig Göransson composed, and I think 100% I'm going to rewatch this movie and love it. I really do believe that, but I didn't feel that yet. I really enjoyed it, but I don't know if I would say I love it. Ranking it an 87 out of 100 is obviously still high, but compared to a lot of the 5 stars, a lot of the 4.5s, and I think like the 4.4 average it has on Letterboxd, a 4.3 average it has on Letterboxd, with actually it's about to hit 1 million members, and about half of that is 5 star rating. So again, I know I'm in the minority with ranking it a 4 star, but I do believe that I will enjoy it more when I rewatch it. I feel like this. well, you can read my review, but with Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, I really feel like this kind of cements. I mean, he was already my favorite director, but I think this movie really cements it, and cements that fact that he is my favorite director, especially my favorite director working, because everything he does is amazing. Genuinely, I think he's so creative, and he brings these huge concepts to life in a way that I don't think many people would even imagine, let alone actually do it and do it successfully the way he does. His movies are huge. They're creative. They're audacious. They're gigantic in concept, and I really love that. And he is so out of this world talented. It's unbelievable. It really is. And similarly with the Odyssey, of course. I mean, I think you can say that this is his most ambitious project, but you could honestly say that about the Dark Knight trilogy. You can say that about Interstellar. You can say that about Inception. You can say that about Oppenheimer. You can say that about the Odyssey. You could say that about almost any one of his films. Every single one of his films could, well, most of his films could be considered ambitious, and I feel like that's one thing that I love about Nolan is his work is so ambitious. He brings these things that are so large in scale to life, and yeah, I don't know. I'm glazing him for a 4 star right now, but I do like this movie. I'm really excited to watch it. I didn't get to see it in 70 millimeter. My city just doesn't have that. I am probably going to travel to go see it in a couple weeks to see it in 70 millimeter, which I really, really want to because it just looks like it would be such a better experience. So, anyways, that's enough of that. Let's move on to the top four of the week. And let's move on to Grown Ups, which is one of my favorite summer movies. Mel and I watched it together this week, ranked it a 91 out of 100. Yeah, I mean, this has always been one of my favorite Sandlers, one of my favorite summer movies. It really is a yearly rewatch kind of thing, and I deeply love it. So, 91 out of 100, which is the highest I've ever rated it. Let's move on to Inception, which I ranked a 94 out of 100. Before watching this movie, I thought that my rating might go down. It didn't go down, it stayed the exact same. But once we got to that third act, I was amazed. I was amazed. It's fantastic. I think I really need to rewatch this, and I really, 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 really need to rewatch this soon because this movie is damn fucking good. And I forgot how good it was, and I've only seen it twice. Like I need to rewatch this because it's really amazing. And again, kind of a crime thriller, really a heist movie at its core. So 94 out of 100. Now let's move on to my top two Nolan, starting it off with Oppenheimer, which I have ranked a 100 out of 100. I love this movie. Every single thing about this movie is amazing. It blows me away every time. The score is fantastic. Every acting performance is amazing. The tension building in this courtroom drama, 3 hour courtroom drama, is unrelenting. It's fantastic and still one of my favorite movies. One of my favorite movies ever at a 100 out of 100. And let's move on to one of my favorite movies of all time, but like legitimately number three or number four or number five. It probably depends on the day. Right now, it's probably number three, which is Interstellar, which I have ranked a 100 out of 100. I watched Interstellar this week and I almost restarted it because I just want to watch it again really badly. And I might watch it within the next couple weeks because I really want to watch it again. I really, really love this movie. I fall more in love with this movie every single time I watch it. It amazes me every single time. And learning how much of this movie is legitimately practical blew me away. I couldn't believe it. I thought for sure there was obviously CGI in this movie, but barely any, which is fucking nuts. So yeah. Anyways, Nolan, man, he really is the best in my opinion. And yeah, thank you guys all so much for watching. Hope you did enjoy, and I'll see you guys to the next one. Sorry for all the Nolan glaze, but that's me, I guess. So yeah, thank you. Bye bye.